Hello, well, welcome to the final session of the Housing Santa Barbara Day of 2020. This evening, our final workshop is home ownership programs within the County of Santa Barbara. We are joined this evening by Maria Schroeder, who is with the City of Santa Barbara. She's the Housing Program Specialist in the Community Development Department, and Andrew Kish, who is the Housing Program Specialist with the County of Santa Barbara in their property management and inclusionary housing departments. Yvette Lounsbury was a homebuyer loan administrator with the Housing Trust Fund of Santa Barbara County, and hopefully she'll be joining us at the end of this session. Before we get started, because we'll go ahead and jump right into it with Maria's presentation, but just want to remind all viewers that the sessions are being recorded. And all sessions will be uploaded to the website for housingsantabarbara.org. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started.
Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Schroeder, and I'm a housing program specialist for the City of Santa Barbara. So I'm going to talk about the city's affordable housing. So there are 447 approximately homes or units that are deemed affordable for home ownership. Now, in 2014, the study showed that there are 8% of dwelling units were considered long-term affordable. That includes, though, rentals and ownership. So I'm going to talk about the ownership program, and the county has rentals and ownership program, and Andrew Kish will speak on that. So the target for a lot of rentals is 30% of the household income, but for ownership, it's a little higher. It's about 40% of the income. That's kind of the target that we're trying to get to, that we deem affordable. So how does a unit become affordable? That happens through, it can happen through grants, it can happen through loans. We can work in conjunction with other organizations, and it's also done through development incentives. So the developer will get a greater, like a density bonus, that would go beyond what the normal zoning would be. And then in turn, we would put what's called a covenant on that property. The covenants used to go for 30 years, like in 2003, they were for 30 years, and then they got bumped up to 45 years. But now the covenants go for 90 years. And that makes sure that our inventory of affordable units stays in the city of Santa Barbara. So what are the requirements? Well, first and foremost is to live and work in the Santa Barbara area. And what is considered the Santa Barbara area? It's from the Gaviota Tunnel to Ventura County line. Then you would ask to be put on our interest list. Now, I want to emphasize that it's not a waiting list, it's an interest list. And what that interest list does is when there's a lottery, so there's a new development and the development is ending, it's getting ready to be sold at some at market rate, some will be set aside for affordable. The last one we had was Estancia, and that was in 2018, and there were 9 units there that were deemed affordable. So on that interest list, the people that are on that interest list get notified, and they can enter into the lottery. The lottery is done, and the first person that gets picked on it gets to walk through one of the 9 units to choose, for Estancia, etc. So outside of that, we also send the interest list out for resale. So right now, like I said, we have about 447 units. And if someone decides to move out of those units, then the covenant, it starts over. And so that's the new owner we'll then sign a new covenant, and the 90 years will start all over. So if someone does not have an eligible buyer for that unit, then we would give them the interest list that they can choose from. So it's a good idea to put your name on the interest list. You can contact myself or my coworker, Melissa Bonillo, and the handout that I was, the slide that I was going to show, it'll be on the internet. It'll be available for you. So other things that would make you eligible or not eligible. So you cannot own other real estate at the time of application. We do have some units that you can. It's called the East Beach Collection, but typically you cannot own any other real estate. Now, if you happen to have owned in the last 2 years, then whatever equity that you received from the sale of that property, the net proceeds, they cannot exceed 50% of the price of the affordable property. So that may seem kind of confusing, but let's say you sold a unit for $300,000, and 50% of that would, if your net proceeds that you receive from that were $150,000, if you owned it free and clear, then the affordable unit would have to be more than $150,000. So hopefully that makes sense. The property, the affordable unit, needs to be owner occupied. So that means that out of 10 out of the 12 months for the year, that needs to be considered your primary residence. A lot of the eligibility is based on income. So most of our units, I would say about 70% of our units would be more towards moderate income to middle income. So I'm going to give you some numbers because you're not able to visualize my graph right now. But let's say a family of 4, moderate income would not exceed $105,360. So that's a family of 4, household size, I should say. So a middle income for a family of 4 would be about $140,480. And this information is also on the City of Santa Barbara's website. The debt to income. So for housing, that means principal, interest, taxes, insurance, HOA. That's got to be between 20% of your income and 40% of your income. So debt to income. Now, if you have, so that's your housing debt. But if you have debt outside of that, let's say you have a car loan, you have credit card debt, then the housing and that other debt cannot exceed 50% of your overall income. A household is everyone occupying the property. Anyone that is 18 years or older in the household must be an owner of record and included on all documentation, including the promissory note and the deed of trust. So we do have some units that are 3 bedrooms, and we like to, we require that the 3 bedrooms are for a 3-person household. Down payment. So the minimum down payment would be 5%. So that, though, it can be a gift. We do allow for you to receive a gift, and that cannot exceed 20% of the purchase price. Co-signers. We do allow for a co-signer, and for financing purposes. The co-signer cannot live inside the property because then that would make them part of the household. And the co-signer can only have 1% interest of the property. Credit score. So one really important thing to do is, if you are thinking about home ownership, is to take a look at your credit, go to a lender, and start learning as much as you can about what it takes for home ownership. And one big thing is what shows up on your credit report. And there's something called a credit score, a FICO score. So if you go online and you take a look at a credit score, sometimes it's not a FICO score. And lenders will use what's called a FICO score, and we will too. So the minimum FICO score is 620. City approval. So once you are in the home ownership program, you have to remember that there is a covenant. It's recorded as the first. It's recorded first on the property, and it's important to remember that if you're going to refinance, you need to have permission to rent the property. If there's title changes, you need to discuss that with the city. You can put it in a trust as long as it's a living trust. We do send out compliance forms once a year, right around October, and it's important that those get filled out in a timely manner. So outside of that, if you have any questions, you can contact me at mschroeder@santabarbaraca.gov. So that's mschroeder@santabarbaraca.gov. You can always call me at 805-564-5461. You hit pound again, 4473, and you can leave me a message or a lot of times I pick up the line actually. So you can email me to get on that interest list, or if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It looks like we're just have someone asking for you to repeat your email address or contact information in the chat.
Okay. It's M Schroeder. So that's M for Maria. And then my last name, Schroeder, SCHROEDER @santabarbaraca.gov. If you go to the city of Santa Barbara, you should be able to find me there through the Community Development Department.
Okay, just try to type that in, so hopefully that went through at the same time. So
okay.
Thank you. And if there are additional questions, feel free to put those in the chat box, and we'll answer those at the end. We'll open it back up to the panel so that they can answer any questions. So thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
We'll go ahead and hand that over then to Andrew.
Hey, yeah, let me try and share my screen here. Give me a second. And then let me know if you guys can see, it's kind of like a beige handout with like a little community in the background. Okay, good.
Yes,
Maria
we can see that.
Wonderful. All right, so thank you, Andrea, for the introduction, and thanks for putting this together for Housing Santa Barbara Days. My name is Andrew Kish. I work with the County of Santa Barbara, and as was mentioned before, I'm a housing program specialist. The County of Santa Barbara, we have our own inclusionary housing program, which is very similar to that of the city of Santa Barbara, but a big difference is that any of the units for the county that are produced through our inclusionary housing program, they would be developed within the unincorporated parts of the county. So the city of Santa Barbara, all of their units are within the city proper. The county of Santa Barbara, all of our units are spread throughout the geographic location, stretching as far north as Santa Maria, as far south as Carpinteria, and all of the unincorporated parts in between. Our program, we live within Chapter 46 of the Santa Barbara County Code. There's an inclusionary housing ordinance number 4855. And really what this requires is that any new development of over 5 units, any residential development of over 5 units, the developer, in order to receive the permits to build any development residentially of over 5 units, they either need to designate a certain percentage of those developed units as affordable, or they can decide to cut a check, which is used for other housing programs. We leverage those funds to create multifamily housing as well. But ideally, in a perfect world, they're creating the units, because certainly, as you guys probably know, inventory is very limited in Santa Barbara County. So the more units that we can produce, the better. And so the units that are produced, they go into the county's portfolio. We have roughly close to the amount of City of Santa Barbara's units for resale. I'd say anywhere between 400 and 500, but we also have rental units. Probably less than between like 90 to 100 rental units as well. And any household that moves into those units, they have to show us that they qualify. And so there's an application process, and we can go through that in a moment. But ultimately, the county has recognized that there is a housing shortage, and so there are policies in place within the county code that require that a certain percentage of new development is allocated toward affordable housing for purchase, and then also for rental as well. South Coast in particular, the requirements to produce in each particular income category are shown here. This varies on an annual basis, just depending upon what the median sales price is for each part of the county, between Santa Maria, the Valley, South Coast, Lompoc, et cetera. And then you compare that median sales price for those different housing market areas, you compare that to what the area median income is for the county. So that's how we determine what's affordable. That's how we determine where the needs are for the development of these units. So this is just an example as far as the South Coast. Currently, this is the percentage of the development that's required to be allocated toward affordable units in any new construction that's moving forward. So these income limits here, very low income, low, moderate, and workforce. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and this is where the rubber meets the road. I know it's a little bit overwhelming and maybe somewhat intimidating, but this is our matrix within which we can qualify applicants to determine if they're eligible to reside in either a rental unit or a resale unit. So you can see over here, here's the household size, anywhere between 1 and 8. And then the income category, it ranges from very low, which are households that earn up to 50% of the area median income, up to the workforce category, which are households that earn up to 200% of the area median income. These figures, they also change on an annual basis, but they're important because the amount of income that a household earns on an annual basis, that determines what type of unit that they can purchase through our program. The sales prices for our units, they're designed to make sure that the monthly mortgage payment does not exceed 30% of the monthly income for someone that meets these particular income categories. So if we have a household of 2 within the upper moderate income category, we require that they don't earn any more than $84,300 per year. And so our sales prices, we kind of do backwards math, and we find out what's the monthly income for this household of 2 in the upper moderate income category. And from that monthly income, what's 30% of that monthly income? And then that's kind of the general rule of thumb as far as what's determined affordable, as far as a housing payment. Now in Southern California, chances are, or oftentimes people are paying closer to like 50% of their income for household or for renting or for owning. So we want to try and make sure that it's affordable. And so 30% is the general rule of thumb. So this is the income limits. Here are the sales prices that are also reflected. So for instance, a 2-person household with a maximum income of $84,300, if they're looking to try and purchase a 2-bedroom, then this sales price of $284,500 by design is going to be affordable for that particular household. So this gets a little bit complicated, but it's important because this enables the county to recognize where each one of the households should be placed within the county's interest list. Just like the city has an interest list database from which they can identify potential applicants for any resale when it becomes available. The county has one too. And it's, ideally we want people to renew their interest list with us every 6 months because people's income changed, people's household locations change, contact information, but this is how we identify whether or not someone qualifies and then what the sales price would be for each of those particular households. Okay, so all this information, it is available on the county's website. I tried to list that here. So countyofsb.org/housing. You can find these income limits there. You can also find a link to our interest list sign up form, which we would encourage anybody listening to the phone call, if you want to put yourself in a position to be prepared for an opportunity to purchase, then put your name on the interest list with the county, put your name on the interest list with the city. The city of Goleta has their own independent inclusionary housing program as well. So for the South Coast area, these programs are in place, and you want to make sure you try and put a few different pots on the fire, because that's just going to increase your opportunities to purchase when the units become available in one of the 3 different programs between the city of Santa Barbara, county of Santa Barbara, and then the city of Goleta as well. My email address is listed right here, akish@sbccsd.org. I'm readily available and correspond with applicants on a regular basis. So our goal is to make sure that we recognize exactly what type of unit you can qualify for, and then make sure you're in the best position to purchase when that opportunity arises. So that being said, I'm going to scroll down to our affordability restrictions. Some of these are similar to the city of Santa Barbara, but some of them are different. As you can see, one main difference here is that there's no residential ownership for the previous 3 years. Whereas the city of Santa Barbara, they just require that somebody has divested themselves of ownership for residential real estate before the new purchase takes place. Whereas the county, we try and retain the ownership opportunities for people who are really recognized as first-time home buyers. And so the definition per the Department of Housing and Urban Development for technical first-time home buyers is that you have not owned for the previous 3 years. There are exceptions to this on a case-by-case basis, but generally that is the rule. So you shouldn't have owned any residential real estate for the previous 3 years. A second point on this affordability restriction guideline, a household must have been established for 6 months prior to making an application to the county's program. So if an opportunity comes up to purchase a 2-bedroom, then the county's rules require that the household size to purchase that 2-bedroom have a household of at least 2 people and at the most 5 people. So if I'm a single person and I see a 2-bedroom come up, I can't just go ahead and, call up my best friend saying, hey, let's go buy a place in Santa Barbara. If we have not resided together for the previous 6 months as a household, then we cannot make a joint application as a 2-person household, if that makes sense. The applicants must live or work within Santa Barbara County. So that county, again, it ranges all the way from Santa Maria down to Carpenter. So as long as you can demonstrate that you have been a part of the county's community, then that would make you eligible. We don't want, speculators from out of town looking for an opportunity to move from, a large city to Santa Barbara and then take away those opportunities from what we consider our workforce. I mean, generally, we want to make sure the design or the spirit behind our program is we want to preserve as many housing opportunities as we can for the existing workforce. And that's, anybody working within the county. So it could be teachers, firefighters, police department, nurses, what have you. So we want to make sure that those individuals have the ability to live close to where they work, because if they're required to commute about an hour each day back and forth to the job, then there's a chance that that talented employee can be lost from the county because they want to choose to live closer to where they or choose to work closer to where they live. So the applicants must live or work within Santa Barbara County. The unit will be the applicant's primary residence. So you have to live there for 10 out of the 12 months of the year. There's a requirement of at least 3% down for a down payment. And of course, if you can qualify for a Veterans Administration backed loan, then that allows you to come up with as close as 0%. We can be flexible with this requirement because nowadays a lot of people are getting piggyback loans to where they get one loan for 80% of the purchase price. They'll get another loan for like 15% of the purchase price, and then put the 5% down, what have you. So there is flexibility here, but you should be prepared to put down at least 3% of a down payment for any purchase, because that just shows that you have some skin in the game. And typically that's what a lender is going to require as well. Both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have really good first-time homebuyer programs that allow people to come in with as low as 3% down. So that's why we've made that adjustment for the county's program. Just like Maria's program, the county participants who are purchasing, they're agreeing to sign and abide by a resale restrictive covenant. Ours typically don't last anywhere between 45 to a rolling 90 years. Most of ours are anywhere between 30 to 35 years. And so the general guidelines of the covenant require that it must be your primary residence. It must not be rented without the permission of the county if there's some type of hardship scenario. What else is there? Refinancing requirements, transfer requirements. And so really by signing this, it's an agreement that you're making with the county that for the duration of time that you're under covenant, you're going to agree to abide by the rules of the county's program. So you can't go out and speculate and try and purchase a bunch of new properties. You can't over encumber the property. So there's some guidelines there just that are set up to ensure success for each one of the homeowners. Income and asset restrictions. We talked previously about the income restrictions, and again, those are available online. Asset restrictions are similar to the cities in the sense that somebody's liquid assets, checking, savings, not including any retirement accounts. So strictly liquid assets should not exceed 50% of the sales price. So if I'm scrolling back up, and I'm looking at this 2-bedroom for sale for $284,500, I have to make sure in order to qualify for that purchase, I can't have more than $142,000 in the bank. If I have that within retirement funds or IRAs, that's okay. We don't count that. But as far as liquid assets are concerned, you should have less than 50% of the sales price set aside. Okay, and consistent with the city, a FICO score of 620. This is a reflection, the FICO score, it's a reflection of somebody's ability to repay the debt. You want to take a look at those reports. Like Maria said, I'd say at least about 60 days before you try and make a purchase, because a lot of times there's some errors, outdated information, fraudulent information, and you don't want the repair of that credit report to take a couple months, which would jeopardize your ability to qualify for a lower interest rate. So if you are indeed interested in trying to prepare for a purchase, either through the county's program, the city's program, or even one of the fair market units, get a copy of those credit reports. You can get them for free, annualcreditreport.com. That's a good way to do it. And then just identify if there's any inconsistencies or irregularities, because it may take some time, 30 to 60 days, to improve that. And you don't want that to hold you back and then blow the deal. So FICO scores are important. We want to make sure that 620 is the minimum. I'd say if someone has, the scores range from 300 to 850. If someone has a credit score of 720 or above, they're considered what's called A paper. That's going to enable you to qualify for the best type of financing. If someone has a credit score of below 620, it's possible to qualify for a loan, but they haven't really demonstrated the ability or the discipline to handle a large balance on a mortgage to pay off for 30 years. So you want to demonstrate your ability to try and handle that type of debt load, and that's what the FICO score enables us to recognize. Debt to income ratio. Debt to income ratio, this is the total debt to income ratio. So if someone's going to purchase, we want to make sure that their total housing payment, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus all of their consumer debt, minimum payments for their vehicles each month, minimum payments for student loans, minimum payments for credit cards. You add all of those minimum payments for the consumer debt, the monthly minimum payments, you add that to whatever the monthly mortgage payment was, and you want to make sure that that total does not exceed 45% of your monthly gross income. And this is important because you don't want to spread yourself thin. I've seen lenders go as high as 50 to 55% of somebody's monthly gross income, but that's a pretty significant portion of your gross income, not even to mention your take-home pay. So 45% is probably the max. Ideally, if you can put yourself in a position to have anywhere between 30 and 35%, that's going to be the most desirable for lenders, at least. And it shows that you have the room to handle that type of payment obligation within your budget. And the reason that I'm mentioning these last two items here, it's a little bit technical, but the units are available. Between Maria's and my program, it sounds like there's about close to 1,000 units that are out there between the city and the county. And so the units will continue to be produced. I don't think that these inclusionary housing programs are going to go anywhere necessarily. And so the opportunities will arise, but in order for you to be in that position to take advantage of that opportunity to purchase, either through the city's program, through the county's program, you need to be prepared. And so the first step for preparation is to ensure that you have the ability to qualify for a loan that would allow that purchase price. And so before you even look at a unit or go to an open house or communicate with a seller, the county is going to want to make sure that you can demonstrate the ability to qualify for the financing. And so what we would request is that any applicant get a copy of something which is called a pre-qualification letter. And you can get a pre-qualification letter from any lender, Bank of America, Chase. There's plenty of local mortgage brokers that we can make referrals to as well. But that pre-qualification letter is going to let you know how much of a mortgage payment and then how much of a purchase price you can afford. Sellers, they're not going to want to take their time to show somebody a unit if that applicant can't demonstrate the ability to qualify for a loan to allow that purchase. The sellers don't want to waste their time. They want to move quickly. And so we do a lot of pre-screening up front. So once you meet with the county and you've registered within our database, the next step for any applicant we would suggest is to get a copy of that pre-qualification letter. And that's going to be worth its weight in gold, because that's going to enable you to show that you're serious about the purchase and you have the financial backing to commit. If that seller chooses you and opens up escrow, they're not going to be concerned about you falling out of the deal because you can't get the loan. And this is a good segue to talk with our next presenter, Yvette. Yvette works closely with the city and the county. They have a really good down payment assistance program and other programs to help borrowers put together the financing to qualify for these units. So again, the units are available. They'll continue to be produced and they'll continue to be managed by both Maria's program and my program. So I suggest registering with both the city and the county and the city of Goleta for that matter. And then once you're registered, next step is to talk with your lender. Go ahead and get that pre-qualification letter so you can recognize how much is realistically affordable. And then if you do get chosen to go take a look at a unit and a seller actually wants to enter into contract with you, you have that verification of financing that they're going to want to see in order to feel comfortable moving forward. So again, FICO scores, take a look at those early, and then take a look at your budget as well and see what's realistically affordable. Your loan officer can work with this or work through this with you. And then also there's a great program through the Housing Trust Fund of Santa Barbara that Yvette can speak with us about to find creative ways to get the financing for these purchases. So with that being said, certainly contact me via email at your convenience. But otherwise, if we can toss it off to Yvette, I think that's a good segue.
My name is Yvette Lounsbury, and I'm the Housing Trust Fund Administrator. I do have a slideshow that I'll be showing you and how our program works. So I'll be sharing that, but basically what we are, we're a nonprofit. We're the Housing Trust Fund Workforce Homebuyer Program. And what that means is that we help people get to that 20% down payment. We're not a first lender. We don't qualify you on that, but we do help with the down payment on that end of it. So from there, I'm going to go into the slideshow so you can see how we are. So what we are is we're the South Coast Workforce Homebuyer Program. We help with down payment loans, and we do down payment loans. We have two types. We have the 10-year and the 15-year down payment loans. What that means is the 10-year is for regular homes, market rate homes that are not the affordable, and then we have the affordable units, which you guys were talking about previously for working with the city and county. So we do down payments for the city and county. So I wanted to go over today those down payment loans for the affordable units. But we have two. So the affordable units is a 15-year interest-only loan. We can lend up to $100,000. And what that means is that you will have your first mortgage and you will have your second mortgage. Your second mortgage will be our loan. So you will have two liens, two mortgages. So what it is it's just for the South Coast County, which is from Gaviota Coast all the way to San Ynez and to Carpinteria. So basically from San Ynez to Carpinteria. Our maximum loan amount, again, is up to $100,000 or 16.5% of the purchase price. Borrower's qualifications: you must be a first-time home buyer, cannot have owned a home in the last 3 years. There are some exceptions, say a divorce or a head of household. There's different exceptions that apply. Our income goes off what the city and county, so, but mostly we have a combined income household of the medium area. So it would go with the city and county, basically what I'm saying. You must work in Santa Barbara County, be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident alien. The eligible homes that you can apply for have to be in South Coast County, which is a single family resident, a condo, or a townhome. It must be ready for occupancy with no building or health and safety code violations. So our program requirements are a little bit the same as the city and county for a down payment loan. We do require, though, we do require a home buyer education course. And what that means is it's a course you take online through a third-party vendor that we use, and you will take this course, and they found that people who do take the home buyer education course, the default is much lower when this class, it talks about mortgages, what a mortgage is, what hazard insurance is, homeowner insurance is. It just talks about how property taxes work. So it's a nice education to find out. Second thing is you must be pre-approved from a first mortgage lender. We have approved lenders, and I'll go over who are approved lenders. What that means is they're local lenders and they know our program. Their underwriters have approved our down payment program. You must have satisfactory employment and income stability, be within working or retired or within Santa Barbara County. The other item is that you must also have an income certification. Now, this is different from a first mortgage qualifying you. What we're looking again is household income if you fall into the requirements for household income. So that's another income verification that we need that goes to a third-party vendor. And then another requirement is you must have 3.5% of your own funds of the purchase price. So like the city and county, we do require you do put some money down in that sense. And then we do have points and fees, just like a first lender does, but it's way less than what it normally is. It's 40% of the origination fee. Some of the community partners, the income certification, home buyer, they might charge a fee, but some of them don't. And then the first mortgage may charge fees for their loan. Again, the security will be a second lien, the second mortgage, what this down payment is. For the affordable units, they're due in 15 years or upon resale, refinance, and or failure to occupy the home as a primary residence. So what that means is you can't rent the home out. You must live in the home. Homeowners may prepay all or a portion of the down payment loan at any time. So you can pay this loan off without a penalty. Right now, we're interest only payments, no principal payments required on our loans. We have currently a 4.5% fixed rate, which is very low compared to how a second usually is. A fixed second usually goes into the 8 or 7%. So, and then you have to pay principal and interest, but ours are just interest. So it gives you some flexibility to pay extra payments if you want. And then a loan repayment is all the principal amount plus any unpaid interest. So that's that first page. The second page is the steps, but I wanted to go over our community partners. Our requirements, again, are a homebuyer education and an income certification. So these are the partners you would go through to complete the course and or income certification, would be on the right-hand side. So Housing Authority we use of Santa Barbara, or People Self-Help in San Luis Obispo, and or Ventura, they can do these homebuyer education and income certification. Now, going down on the right-hand side, our list of lenders that are local, that know our program and can pre-approve you for a first mortgage. And these are, we have plenty of them, and we keep adding new lenders, seems like every month. But these are the ones that can tell you how much you qualify, what you qualify, and if our program, if they know our guidelines, if our program can work with the down payment for your first mortgage. So again, all of these are local lenders that we work through, if you can see them. And then we work with local title companies. But on the left-hand side, I wanted to go over the steps for our program. The first step is a home buyer education. We find that's really helpful. And then the second step would be getting pre-approved from one of our lenders, approved lenders. And then the third step, I find that once you go into escrow and you do find your home, then you would get an income certification, and then they would qualify you on the household income step, the city and county. Again, that's through the city and county. And then the fourth step is locating your home, and you would work with your realtor or broker to locate your home. And then you would go through the first mortgage and us to close your loan. Then the last step, again, before that, is the loan application. We work closely with the first mortgage in helping you close your loan. And they will work with us so that we will never be out of the loop between the first lender and us. And then we will give you a decision between 10 and 12 working days once we receive an application. And then step 7 is closing of your home. And then we do work with coastal housing. So if any of your employers work with coastal housing, it's a discount that coastal housing offers for some of their employers, for their employees. You would check with your employer if you have that. And then for any other information, which I could more than can help answer any questions for down payment loans and how we work, my information is right there, 805-845-3585. And then my email, Lounsbury@SantaBarbaraHousingTrust.org. Is there any other questions?
Question about making the handouts and materials available. So I think we can do that on the HousingSantaBarbara.org website. And I know that these handouts are available on your individual websites as well.
We have both flyers. We have the 10-year, which is for the regular market rate homes. And then we have the affordable, the 15-year loans for down payment. And those can be available.
Thank you. That wraps up the scheduled presentations for this evening. Are there any questions at all from any of the attendees for any of our panelists this evening before we end the evening? I'm not seeing any additional questions come in. So I thank you all for your time this evening. Again, we will have this available online within a week. So you'll be able to watch this presentation as well as the previous sessions. And again, we will try to make the additional handouts available on the HousingSantaBarbara.org website, so that they're all in one central location for anyone that has follow-up questions. And again, I think you have everyone's contact information. So those that were attendees this evening, you can reach out to Yvette, Andrew, or Maria if you have questions about the programs that they administer. So thank you again so much. And this concludes Housing Santa Barbara Week this year for 2020. And we'll see everybody next year, hopefully in person versus on Zoom.
Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.